It was nearly 1 a.m. when Jordan left his friend's farmhouse deep in rural Virginia. The night was silent, heavy, the kind that blanketed the woods and smothered the stars. His phone had no signal, and the nearest town was over 40 miles away. Still, the winding back road that cut through the pine forest had always been a shortcut. Until tonight. His headlights pierced through the thick fog, revealing only 30 feet ahead. The trees seemed to lean in closer the deeper he drove. The hum of the tires on the road was the only constant sound, until it wasn't. About 10 minutes in, Jordan noticed the road was different. The usual reflective signs were missing. The turn he usually took didn't appear. He figured he was just tired. He turned down the radio to stay alert. That's when he saw her. A woman stood on the shoulder just ahead, soaked from head to toe. She was barefoot, wearing a long white dress that clung to her skin like a second layer. Her dark hair hung like wet rope over her face. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared at his car as he approached. Jordan slammed the brakes and skidded slightly. His heart pounded against his ribs. For a second, he hesitated. Could she be hurt? Hit by another car? He lowered the window. "Miss, are you all right?" he called. She didn't respond. He put the car in park and stepped out, grabbing the flashlight from his glove compartment. The cold hit him immediately, much colder than it had any right to be for August. As he approached, the woman slowly raised one trembling arm and pointed. Not at him, not at his car, but behind him. Jordan turned instinctively, but saw only trees and his own car under the dim beam of his flashlight. When he turned back, she was gone. Gone without so much as a sound. No footsteps in the gravel, no brush rustling, nothing. He called out, circled the car with the flashlight, even checked the ditch and tree line. Still nothing. His chest was tight, his hands clammy. Eventually, telling himself it had to be a hallucination or maybe exhaustion, he got back in the car and locked the doors. That's when he caught it, in the rearview mirror. A glimpse, a shadow, a white figure in the back seat. He spun around with a gasp. Empty. The seat was bare. He laughed nervously. Okay, I'm losing it. Still, he didn't turn the radio back on. He just drove. As the trees finally gave way to open highway, Jordan let out a long breath. Maybe it really had just been stress. The mind plays tricks, right? An hour later, he pulled into a 24-hour gas station, needing a drink, a bathroom, anything to reset. As he stepped out of the car, the gas station attendant ran out from inside the store, pale as chalk. "Sir, is she okay?" the man asked, wide-eyed. Jordan paused, confused. "Who?" "The woman in your back seat." The attendant looked terrified. He wasn't joking. Jordan's mouth went dry. He turned and opened the rear door. Nothing. Empty again. But on the inside of the fogged rear window, a handprint. Fresh, pressed from inside. Fingers long, wet. Nails cracked. He never drove that road again. Adam had always preferred night drives. There was something peaceful about empty highways, headlights gliding over blacktop, and the low hum of an engine under a starlit sky. He was heading home after a weekend conference, a 3-hour drive back to his small town through mostly rural roads. The clock read 10:42 p.m. when his GPS offered him a shortcut, 20 minutes faster. He accepted it without hesitation. Soon he found himself leaving the highway behind, winding through narrow country roads flanked by thick woods. Trees loomed in from both sides, their branches arching over the road like a tunnel of skeletal arms. No streetlights, no other cars, just the crunch of tires on rough asphalt. After nearly an hour, the low fuel warning chimed. He glanced at the gauge, almost empty. Cursing under his breath, he checked the GPS. A gas station was nearby, just ahead. Frederick's fuel stop. The name sounded old, forgotten. The detour turned to gravel, then back to cracked pavement. His cell signal vanished. Finally, he saw it. A faint neon sign, barely glowing. Frederick's. The building was small, single-story, with peeling paint and a single ancient gas pump out front. A hanging light buzzed overhead. The place looked abandoned, except for a flickering open sign taped to the dirty glass door. Adam hesitated, his gut tightening. Still, with no other option, he pulled in. He stepped out of the car. The air felt unnaturally still. No wind, no insects, just silence. He lifted the nozzle, and an old-fashioned buzzer rang inside the station. Moments later, the door creaked open. A man emerged. He wore a stained white apron over a gray shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows. His skin was pale, almost grayish under the flickering light. He didn't blink as he looked at Adam. "You need fuel?" the man asked, voice hollow. Yeah, this pump work?" The man nodded slowly but said nothing more, then turned and went back inside. Adam tried the pump. Nothing. He sighed and followed the man into the building. Inside, it felt like stepping into a place time had forgotten. Faded shelves held expired chips, dusty cans, and ancient soda bottles. A rusted fan rotated overhead but didn't move any air. A soft, scratchy jazz tune crackled from an old radio in the corner. It smelled like damp wood and something faintly metallic. The man stood behind the counter, still watching him. Adam approached. "Can I pay inside?" Still no response. That's when he noticed the wall of photos behind the man. Framed black and white pictures of smiling customers posing outside the station. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Until Adam looked closer. The same man was in every photo. Not someone who looked like him. Him. Same greasy hair, same apron, same face. The pictures dated back decades. 1965, 1974, 1988, 2003. Adam felt his breath catch. Then the man finally spoke again, this time with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "You're not from around here, are you?" That was all Adam needed. He turned and rushed out the door. The bell above the entrance chimed once. He jumped into the car, heart pounding, and twisted the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered once, then roared to life. He looked at the pump, still lodged in the tank. He yanked it free and floored the gas pedal, gravel spraying behind him. The woods closed in again. The road twisted and turned, no signs, no lights. After several minutes, he dared a glance in the mirror. The gas station was gone. No building, no pump, no neon sign, just darkness. Eventually, he reached a highway exit and pulled into a brightly lit chevron. Shaking, he filled the tank and went inside. The warm lighting and hum of conversation felt like a different world. At the counter, he asked the clerk, "Hey, was there ever a gas station called Frederick's near Route 37? The man behind the register blinked. "Frederick's?" he said. "That place burned down like 30 years ago. Gas explosion. No survivors. Why?" Adam didn't answer. He just left without his change. It was just past 12:20 a.m. when Lena left her best friend's house. The birthday dinner had turned into a movie night, and by the time she got up to leave, the sky outside was already soaked in moonlight and mist. Her friend had offered to let her stay the night, but Lena was stubborn. Home was only an hour away, and she liked driving at night. The roads were quiet, peaceful. At least they used to be. She chose the back roads like she always did, avoiding the freeway in favor of winding forest lanes that cut through farmland and old woods. Her phone lost signal about 30 minutes in, just like it always did in those parts. The air grew colder. the kind of cold that sneaks into your bones even with the heater running. Then the rain started. It was light at first, a mist that clung to the windshield, but within minutes it became heavier, hammering the roof and drowning out her music. Her wipers squeaked and struggled, and her headlights could barely pierce the downpour. The trees thickened on both sides, forming a narrow tunnel of wet branches and shadows. The road sloped downward into a long, winding bend. That's when she saw him. A man, standing perfectly still in the middle of the road. No car nearby, no flashlight, no movement, just him. She slammed on the brakes, heart leaping into her throat. Her tires skidded slightly on the wet asphalt and her car came to a stop maybe 15 feet away from him. He didn't move. She honked, once, twice. No reaction. She leaned forward, trying to see better through the foggy windshield. He was soaked from head to toe, clothes hanging heavy, head drooped forward. He didn't appear injured, but he didn't seem present either. Lena flicked her high beams on. He flinched, just barely, then raised his head. His face was gaunt, eyes wide, but not like someone scared, more like someone who had seen something too big to understand, something that had drained everything out of him. He took a step forward. Lena's instinct screamed. She threw the car into reverse and backed up fast. The rain made visibility terrible, but she didn't care. She just wanted to put distance between herself and that man. After 100 yards or so, she found a narrow gravel entrance and spun the wheel for a frantic U-turn. Her tires kicked up mud and water as she sped away. Her breathing didn't calm. Every second that passed, her eyes flicked between the road and the rearview mirror. No sign of him. Until 2 miles later, he was there again. Standing in the road, head drooped, facing the same direction, same clothes, same everything. She didn't brake this time. She swerved sharply to avoid him and kept driving. But now her heart was in overdrive. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel so tightly they ached. She didn't understand how he could have gotten ahead of her. It was impossible. Unless he was never a man at all. She kept going, no stopping, no looking back. The rain began to ease, but dread only deepened. Then a few turns later, he appeared again. Same spot, same posture. Only this time, he was smiling. His head slowly tilted back as she passed, and though she didn't look directly, she saw enough from the corner of her eye. His mouth was too wide, his teeth too many. It wasn't a smile, it was a trap. Lena drove as fast as she dared, and didn't stop until she reached a familiar diner on the edge of the main highway, one that stayed open 24/7 for truckers. She stumbled in, drenched and trembling. The fluorescent lights inside made the world feel real again. Warm, safe. The waitress, an older woman with kind eyes, brought her a coffee and asked if she was okay. Lena told her everything. The rain, the man, how he kept appearing. The woman listened without interrupting, then said something that made Lena's blood run cold. "You were on the old Millbrook stretch, weren't you?" Lena nodded, surprised. The waitress's voice dropped to a whisper. "There's a story. Years ago, a man's car broke down there. He walked in the rain to find help, but a drunk driver hit him. They say his body was never found, washed into the forest or buried under roots." Lena stared at her, trying to process. The waitress leaned in. "He doesn't want help anymore, sweetheart. He wants someone to stand with him now, in the road." If you made it this far, thank you for spending your night with us. If these stories gave you chills, there's plenty more waiting. Don't forget to subscribe to Night Fear Stories for new terrifying tales every single night. Sleep well, if you can.